All right, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the nutrition fundamentals that every new or developing personal trainer should know. So the learning outcomes are to understand and define BMR and TDEE, understand the three main macronutrients and other non-essential calorie sources, be able to advise the client how to lose fat or gain muscle, briefly go through different types of diets, and achieve basic understanding of semaglutide drugs such as Ozempic and their role in weight loss. So firstly, let's talk about basal metabolic rate. Basal metabolic rate is the rate of energy expenditure of a person at rest. It eliminates the variable of physical activity. Basically, it's the amount of calories you need to just survive, right? It's the amount of calories you need for your brain to function, for your heart to function, and if you were to just do nothing, right? Imagine if you're in a hospital bed, you just woke up, you haven't eaten food for 12 hours, that would be your basal metabolic rate. So when you do an in-body and you get your basal metabolic rate, a lot of trainers or clients will mistakenly think this is how many calories they need to stay the same weight, right? But that doesn't include any exercise at all, not even walking. So if you want to figure that out, you're going to calculate your total daily energy expenditure, or TDEE. This is an accurate estimate of how many calories a person burns in a day. To determine that, you just take your BMR and times it by, it's called an activity factor. So you ask a client how many times a week they're going to work out. Most clients will work out 1 to 3 or 3 to 5 times a week, and use your best judgment by how they're describing their type of workouts they currently do, and also how intense the workouts you're giving them will be, right? So take the BMR times it by the activity factor, and then you'll be able to get their maintenance calories. Now from there, if a client has a goal to lose fat, first of all, clients will say they want to lose weight. So you should kind of specify the difference between weight loss and fat loss. Weight loss is just weight, right? You can lose weight by not drinking water, eating less carbohydrates, eating less food, but that doesn't mean you necessarily lost fat. It's easy to lose 10 pounds of water weight in 1 day or 2 days, and then gain it back. And it's kind of a natural thing that people's bodies will naturally do. But if you want to lose fat, you have to be in a calorie deficit. So if you want to lose around 1 pound of fat a week, which is a normal healthy amount, you need to keep in mind 1 pound of fat is around 3,500 calories. So for someone who doesn't have that much weight to lose, or I should say fat to lose, a 500 calorie daily deficit is more than enough. If someone's really obese or really overweight, then 1,000 calorie deficit can be used. But you don't really want to be in a large calorie deficit if you don't have that much fat to lose, because you're going to lose more muscle mass. No matter what you do, if you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose some amount of muscle. So we want to kind of spare as much muscle as we can. And in addition to that, to spare as much muscle as you can, you want to weight train at least 2 times a week and consume enough protein, right? And this is 1.6 grams to 2.2 kilograms of, 1.6 grams to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight of protein. Or if someone's really obese, you can base this on their lean body mass, right? Because if someone's 400 pounds, we're not going to tell them to eat 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight, because then that's going to be 400 grams of protein. That doesn't make any sense. And here's a question. Do calories need to be tracked in order to lose weight? Simple answer is no. You can lose weight without tracking calories. But I find, honestly, most people benefit from tracking calories, even if it's for a couple days or a week. It's kind of a reality check. And I think most people already know, basic advice. Oh, eat more fruits, eat more vegetables, move more, right? They already know this advice. And obviously that advice doesn't work because they're not losing fat. So I think it's worth tracking just for a couple days. Even you can use any of these apps to track their their diet. All right, how to gain muscle. Gaining muscle, we're not focusing on the workout aspect, just on the dietary aspect. So if you want to gain muscle, unless you're a beginner, you need to be at least eating at maintenance or eating slightly above maintenance. So 100 to 500 calories above your maintenance. Anything above 500 calories is kind of excessive unless your estimation is very off. If you're eating more than 500 calories over your TDEE, you're just going to be storing that as fat, right? So you're just going to have to lose that fat in the future. It's kind of a waste of time. Just do a small calorie surplus. You don't need that much. 100 to 200 calories is usually good enough. Protein requirements, same thing, 1.6 grams to 2.2 grams per kg. Spread it throughout the day, a couple meals, 3 or 4 portions if you can. All right. Macronutrients and calories. So what is a macronutrient? It's a type of nutrient the body needs to maintain essential functions and provide energy. There's three main macronutrients: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And you can see here I listed 4 calories per gram, 4 calories per gram, 9 calories per gram. So what this means is, just by definition, if you eat a diet that's high in fat, you can't eat as much food, right? Because fat is just more calorie dense. So if someone is trying to lose fat and they're always hungry, then for them, maybe a diet kind of slightly lower in fat might be better. It just depends on the person, though. And then we have non-essential sources: alcohol, 7 calories per gram. That's something that a lot of people have trouble with, cutting out alcohol and kind of holding them back on their goals. A lot of calories in alcohol. And then we also have soluble fiber, which is a type of carbohydrate, but our bodies can't naturally digest it. So soluble fiber gets to the gut, your gut bacteria converts it to short chain fatty acids, and then you get to absorb about half of those calories basically. Insoluble fiber is not used by the body. We can't break it down. It kind of goes in and out, helps you with your bowel movements. All right, carbohydrates. What are they for? Primary energy source. They're quick fuel for cells, especially for the brain and the muscles. If you don't eat enough carbohydrates, you're going to just end up making carbohydrates, and you're going to do that by using protein, which I'll talk more about in the next slide. As I mentioned before, fiber is a type of carbohydrate for digestive health, and it can also help you with weight management, right? Because it can just help you feel more full. And like I mentioned before, when you eat carbohydrates from fiber, you don't really absorb all those calories. So if you eat something, let's say it's 10 grams of fiber, but it has, sorry, 10 grams of carbohydrates, but it has 4 grams of fiber. Well, then you're really not eating 10 grams of carbohydrates, right? Compared to if you ate just 10 grams of pure sugar, where you actually are eating 10 grams of pure sugar. So that's why it's really beneficial for someone who's trying to lose fat, eat a high fiber diet, right? Because if they're eating 2,000 calorie diet, but it's high fiber, they're really not eating 2,000 calories. They're eating, slightly less than 2 calories. But if you're eating 2,000 calories McDonald's, then you probably really are eating 2,000 calories. All right, and then diverse sources: legumes, tubers, fruits, vegetables, grains, sugar. Here's common questions about carbohydrates you get from clients. So number one, do I need to avoid carbohydrates to lose fat? Simple answer: no, you don't need to avoid any macronutrient to lose fat. If you want to lose fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit. Now, if you want to cut out carbohydrates or reduce them, that's your own choice, but you don't need to. You shouldn't be avoiding fruits or bread unless you want to. Okay, especially fruits and vegetables. Those are healthy sources. They have fiber, they have micronutrients. Uh, don't listen to these random people online tell you, oh, fruit's bad, don't eat fruit, it's gonna give you diabetes. All that's is nonsense. Next point is, carbohydrates cause diabetes. No, diabetes is more complicated than just as simple as saying carbohydrates cause diabetes. If you have insulin resistance, carbohydrates can make your blood sugar rise, but that's not the cause of the rise, it's just a symptom. I'm not really going to go into detail about that, maybe a different time. All right, protein. What's protein for? Muscle repair and growth, obviously, enzymes and hormones, amino acids, right? We need all of this. If you want to build muscle, you need to be eating enough protein, probably need to be eating more protein than you're already eating. And you can get it from a bunch of different places: meat, dairy, legumes, soy, nuts. Common question: can vegans get enough protein? For sure, you can get enough protein if you're vegan. I was actually vegan for 5 years. It's just harder to get enough protein because you can't just go to a restaurant, right, most of the time and just order something. A lot of places don't have vegan options, so you have to take a little bit more planning, right? But it definitely can be done. All right, fat. Fat's another energy source. It shouldn't be avoided. We need fat. We need it to make hormones, to make cholesterol. Uh, we have certain essential fatty acids, specifically omega-3 and omega-6. A lot of people don't get enough omega-3. Omega-6 is a little easier to get. You can get it with oils, seed oils, olive oil, canola oil, nuts. Now, omega-3, you get it from fatty fish, chia seeds, flax seeds. From chia seeds and flax seeds, it's a little harder to get enough omega-3. Many people probably would benefit from supplementation, so you could get that from fish oil. Or if you're vegan, you can get it from algae oil, right? And that's actually how fish get omega-3s, is because they're eating algae. And of course, you always recommend a client discuss with their doctor. You're not a doctor or a dietitian, so you can mention there's supplements, but don't tell them to take a specific amount or dosage or specific supplement. Just mention that, okay, there's omega-3 supplements, it's good for your health. This is why. And of course, nutrient absorption, there's these fat soluble vitamins. If you don't eat enough fat, you're not going to really be able to absorb all the vitamins from your food. So, or if you're taking any of these supplements, then you want to be eating them with fat so you can properly absorb them. All right, I'm not going to really talk about each of these in detail because the video would be too long, but what is the best diet? Well, first of all, I'm going to just go over a couple of popular diets right now. Plant-based or vegan diet, no animal products, high in fruits, vegetables, legumes, and whole grains. At least a healthy version of a vegan diet. You can have a vegan diet where you're eating Oreos and Impossible Burgers and all this processed stuff, but let's focus on the healthy version, right? Now, a problem with a plant-based or vegan diet is it can be hard to get B12, iron, calcium, protein, omega-3 fatty acids, but as long as you plan it out, then you can get all of these things, not a problem. B12 is kind of the only one where you actually have to supplement it because that's coming from animal sources. So anyone who's vegan, if you have a client who's vegan, they're not taking B12, recommend to take them. We're going to be having inside trackers so they can have their B12 checked and you can see if it's low or not. And yeah, it's linked to lower risk of heart disease, hypertension, just a bunch of different diseases lowers the risk. Mediterranean, kind of similar to plant-based, except now we're kind of focusing on olive oil as a main fat source. We're adding fish, fatty fish, low red meat, low in eggs, low in dairy. Same kind of benefits as plant-based, although in research, plant-based maybe at least right now it seems a little bit better, but that's epidemiology. That's a different topic. Keto diet. A lot of clients will come to you and they'll say, "Oh, I'm going to do keto diet. I'm going to cut out carbs. Carbs are making me fat." If they want to do that, that's fine. Um, it can definitely help you lose fat. Is But the reason why you're losing fat is because you're cutting out a whole macronutrient, right? Or pretty much cutting it out. You're going 5 to 10% carbohydrates, so that's a big portion of calories you're cutting out. This is not my preferred kind of diet, but yeah, if it helps a client lose fat, then it helps them improve if it helps them improve their biomarkers or decrease their body fat percentage, then in my book, that's good. Carnivore diet, this is kind of a more extreme thing that's coming around due to social media. People are only eating animal products or only eating fish or meat or dairy and eggs. Now, if you compare a carnivore diet to the standard American diet, in my opinion, I think it's probably a good change if you're eating Big Macs and fries and pizza every day, and then you go to eating grass-fed steak and fish and eggs and dairy, then you're probably going to get healthier, right? Assuming that you're also in a calorie deficit if you have some fat to lose. But when you're eating that much saturated fat, there's probably a chance your cholesterol is gonna go up. You might increase your risk for heart disease, and you're probably not gonna get any fiber. So, your poops might be questionable. Yeah, it can be good for some people, especially people who might have problems with certain foods. It can help them figure out which foods they need to avoid. So it's basically just an elimination diet. All right, lastly, intermittent fasting. It's not really a diet, it's a way of eating. So you can do intermittent fasting on any of these. You don't need to intermittent fast to lose weight or to lose fat. But a lot of clients still come in to ask you, oh, should I be fasting? Is that going to help me lose more fat? No. The only reason why you're going to lose fat if you're fasting is because you're in a calorie deficit. You can still gain fat or gain weight even if you're intermittent fasting. Even if you're only eating 6 hours a day, if you eat over your TDEE, your maintenance calories, then you're going to gain weight or you're going to gain fat. So if that helps someone lose fat or someone get healthier and they like to do that type of thing, or someone doesn't like to eat breakfast, then fine, they can do that. Not necessary though. Okay. Lastly, I'll talk about semi-glutide drugs. Me myself, I've already had a couple clients ask me about this or have clients taking it. I'm kind of against it, and except maybe in extreme cases, you have someone who's morbidly obese, they need to lose fat. Maybe they're going to get gastric bypass surgery, and the doctor says, okay, you need to lose 100 pounds, and we're going to give you this to help you lose fat, right? Maybe in that case, but Anyways, let's talk about what is a semaglutide drug. First of all, it's initially designed for type 2 diabetes, and then they found, people are losing weight, so now people are using it for weight loss, especially celebrities, you can see here. So a common name brand is Ozempic, and basically it's a modified version of a hormone, GLP-1, that's secreted in the gut, and it acts as a receptor agonist, which means it kind of binds to the receptor and can do the same thing as GLP-1. So it goes to the pancreas and it can help you stimulate more insulin, right? That's the part that can help with type 2 diabetes. For weight loss, the part that's helping is appetite suppression. So it kind of just makes you less hungry, or it can make you feel full because it also delays gastric emptying, which means your food would just take longer to exit, right? Uh, but what it doesn't do is it doesn't replace a healthy diet, it doesn't replace regular exercise, it doesn't cure diabetes or obesity itself, right? The only thing that it's doing is helping you feel more full and release more insulin, but it's not increasing your metabolic rate. It's not doing any of that. So a lot of clients they might start coming to ask you. First of all, you need to remind them again, you're not a doctor, you're not a dietitian. But if they ask you, oh, should I take Ozempic? Well, just let them know Ozempic's not going to do anything to help them lose weight besides make them feel fuller. So if they want to feel fuller, they could just eat a higher protein diet and eat more fiber, right? It's going to achieve the same outcome. All right, so summary points. BMR is the amount of calories a person burns at rest. If you want to lose fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit, and a 500 calorie deficit is around 1 pound of fat loss per week. To gain muscle, you need to eat enough protein, weight train, and be in a slight calorie surplus, and you should aim for around 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. The macronutrients are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. There are many different types of diets, and the best one is one a client can adhere to long term while maintaining or improving body fat percentage and biomarkers, right? Cholesterol, A1C. Uh, Semaglutide drugs like Ozempic are used for type 2 diabetes as well as weight loss. They help suppress appetite and stimulate insulin secretion, but they're not a substitute for a healthy diet and exercise. All right, and that's it. Hopefully, you have learned a good amount and you'll be able to take this information and give it to your clients during a fit session.